Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 5 brawlers in every single class for right now. So this is going to be especially useful for a lot of people that play ranked, because you do need at least a couple of really good brawlers within that certain class. Then you need them leveled up, because for example, if you don't have enough good throwers or artillery brawlers, then you're going to be screwed in game modes like bounty and knockout. So make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and let's jump into it. So starting off with tanks then. Starting off at number 5, we have Daryl. So Daryl, he's starting to fall down a little bit, but he's still better than the other tanks in my opinion, mainly because he's so good in knockout, bounty paired with kit, and some other instances as well. But he's just so good because you get those 2 roles, and he'll forever be good because of that. At number 4 for tanks, we went with Buster. So Buster started to become a little bit better again in the meta, mainly because there was so many brawlers that got nerfs, and then he got a hypercharge, which isn't like the best hypercharge in the world, but you do get some good stat boosts, and you do get a free hypercharge every single round in knockout. So he's a really solid pick into a lot of different brawlers. Third best tank in Brawl Stars has to be Frank. So he's starting to fall down a little bit because of his hypercharge rate nerf, but Frank's still a menace, because if the opponents don't have any big tank counter, you can just literally walk in a straight line. His hypercharge stat boosts are still pretty insane. Frank still is a solid brawler. Second best tank in the game has to be Ash. So Ash is easily one of the better tanks in the game right now because of his hypercharge. It only takes 2 supers to farm this, which is insane. And the good thing about Ash is those typical tank counters. Ash is really good into them once he farms his super and once he farms his hypercharge as well. He can beat those bad matchups. Best tank in Brawl Stars is easily Ollie right now. A tank that has a super that can dash forward, a tank that can jump over walls as well, and have a hypnotize feature. He's just so incredibly strong. There's hardly any counters to him, and he's easily one of the best brawlers in the game. So now moving on to the assassins. Starting off at number 5, I went with Buzz. So Buzz is in a pretty balanced state right now, but the reason why I like him is because of his hypercharge. His hypercharge can allow him to make so many good plays, and he's a great counter to some of the meta brawlers right now, like Carl, like Melody. So he's good for that reason. Next up at number 4, I went with Mortis. So Mortis received a bit of a hypercharge nerf, but that's not stopping him from being one of the best late picks in ranked. He's an absolute menace because of his hypercharge. I think unless they make the hypercharge rate like 5+ supers, it'll forever be a good pick, because once you get it, it's an automatic team wipe through walls. With the mythic gear, he's insane into those squishy brawlers. Next up is the third best assassin in the game. We have Leon. So Leon's resurgence is thanks to the gadget rework. He was a pretty mid brawler before that, but now he can just spam out his invisible gadget. That's just really good for you and your teammates. That means you're just going to be more sneaky, you're going to farm more supers easier. His hypercharge is still one of the best in the game, so Leon is definitely improved a lot. Second best assassin in the game right now has to be Melody. Melody, still with a hypercharge rate nerf, is one of the best brawlers in the game. A good Melody can easily take over. She's good in so many different game modes, and good into pretty much everything. Even tanks, Melody can be good into because of her hypercharge. It rips through people, so Melody's easily one of the best brawlers in the game. So now moving on to the best assassin in the game right now, we have Stu. So Stu is a 1 versus 1 demon. Whenever you're thinking of a particular counter to a brawler, Stu normally is at the top of the list because his super allows him to win so many different matchups. His hypercharge is completely busted with a gas heal star power, and he's really flexible with both gadgets, being really strong. He's good in so many different game modes. Stu's easily one of the best brawlers in the game. We're going to be moving on to the support class. At number 5, we're going to go with Byron. So Byron is definitely slept on in this meta. He's not crazy by any means, but I don't see him enough because he's still a good brawler. He cycles through his super still pretty fast, and with the help of his booster shots, which is a really low cooldown, he could just spam out shots like crazy. His melee style power allows him to counter those healer compositions. He's a really good asset. At number 4, I went with Gus. So Gus did drop down the meta a little bit, mainly because there's just too much tankiness and hypercharge brawlers that just run him down a little bit too easier, but he's still a go-to brawler, specifically in knockout and bounty, and he's a good brawler into pretty much any sniper. He's still got like a good knockback with his shield, and he's still, with Cookie Popper, confirmed so many kills. He's easily one of the best snipers / support brawlers in the game. Next up at number 3, we went with Max. So Max's support is just always going to be one of the best in the game. The super is just completely broken mechanically, giving you and your team a speed boost, can just allow you to win all of those crazy matchups. When you think of synergies in the game, you always think of Max and another brawler. Max and G, Max and Sandy, Max and tanks. Max just allows for so many crazy combinations to happen, and especially with the hypercharge as well. Into number 2, I went with Gray. So Gray, weirdly enough, I'll kind of consider him as like a assassin with support brawler, but I guess with his teleport, it can allow for brawlers to teleport in, but normally that's not what Gray does. He's always confirming kills with his walking cane and just being an assassin, teleporting onto those snipers. But yeah, I still think he's the second best in this category. Moving on to the best support brawler in the game right now, hands down it has to be Poco. So since the gadget rework, Poco has just been so crazy. Maybe he was just slept on anyways, but both gadgets have allowed him just to counter some different brawlers. If you're facing off against typical Poco counters like Lou, like I don't know, like Ollie, you know, etc., you can just pop the protective tunes gadget and remove all of that. And then if you're facing off against low DPS brawlers or just in general, you can just spam heal gadgets. The hypercharge is really quick to charge up as well. Poco is easily one of the best brawlers in the game right now because there's hardly any brawlers that fully counter him. Moving on to controllers, starting off with Finks. So Finks is highly underrated in this meta. My win rate with him in ranked is pretty high because there's a lot of good things about Finks. His movement speed got buffed. He's got some decent damage, some decent health as well, and his super is very good, one of the best inside of the game, and you get that damage boost on top of the speed boost with your projectiles as well. There's so much to like about Finks, a gadget that can save you from any sort of you know, supers or anything like that. It can literally save your life. I think Finks is very underrated and a really good controller in Hot Zone. Moving on to number 4, we have Gene. So Gene is a great controller for the reason of taking over the map, for chipping the opponents down, stopping them from regenerating their health, and eventually it's going to allow you to take control of the map through that way. That is why Gene is controller. And then also just having your super is just game changing because you can make a really good play in like gem grab to get the other gem carrier. There's just so many good things to like about Gene. Third best controller has to be Lou. So his super gives you full control of a certain area on the map. Specifically in Hot Zone, it's going to allow the enemies to not get onto the Hot Zone, and just in general it can allow you to confirm so many kills with the hypercharge on top of that. Even with several nerfs, Lou has to be one of the best anti-tanks and controllers in the game. Moving on to the second best controller in the game right now, we have Squeak. So Squeak has still been one of the best brawlers in the game, even with the recent wind-up nerf, and I think that is the main reason why he's meta, because wind-up allows him just to get some nasty damage off, and then he can cycle his super a lot more effectively, and then you've got slows with his super, then you've got the hypercharge on top of that, and Squeak is pretty good into everything in the meta right now. With a lot more tanks being nerfed, it's allowed Squeak to actually be better. So moving on to the best controller in the game right now, it easily has to be Meeple. Meeple is so good in the current meta. The reason why Meeple is so good is because the amount of damage he can output with just one attack. Well, literally with 3 attack, auto-aimed, you can burst down so many different brawlers in the game, and then your super on top of that just gives you ultimate control. Literally, even if you don't hit anyone through your super, just throwing your super to a wall, the opponents have to run back or else they're pretty much dead. And then you've got your gadgets on top of that with the Mansions of Meeple. Dice gadget gives you ultimate control with a click of a button. He's easily the best controller in the game. Now we're going to be moving over to the damage dealer class. There's a lot of brawlers here, but I think this is really easy, my top 5. So starting off at number 5, it is RT. So again, I wouldn't really class him as a damage dealer perhaps, because I never really get like star player with RT, but just because RT is such a solid brawler, he's starting to go down a meta just a tiny bit, but because he's so good at knockout and bounty, you can never go wrong with him because he can counter those assassins with his super, whilst other snipers are pretty prone to assassins. It just makes him such a solid brawler. Now moving into the 4th best damage dealer, it has to be Mo. Again, people are completely sleeping on Mo. We kind of have his back and forth on streams that I overrate him, but I just don't. I think Mo's a really solid brawler. We'll see in the monthly finals his play rate, but I think he's so good because the good thing about Mo, you can switch up both builds. One build, you can have the extra shot, so that extra DPS, and that damage does stack up thanks to his reload speed buff. And then the other build, if you're getting outrange, you can just switch to that star power, which increases your range and will allow you to farm super a lot easier. Another underrated thing about Mo is the gadget reworks allowed him to spam out that gadget so he can get infinite supers. He's such a good brawler. You need to try him out more. Moving into number 3, we have Chester. Chester, since the hypercharge is just completely back in the meta, because that hypercharge is completely busted. It's so incredibly overpowered. I'm going to sense that it's probably going to receive another nerf in the next set of balance changes because he's seriously that strong. And then thanks to Candy Beans as well, spamming out 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds you can get a random buff. It's just crazy. Chester's fully bad. At number 2, I went with Carl. So Carl, since the gadget rework, has just been one of the best brawlers in the game. The fact that you can one-shot so many brawlers with this gadget, already it was like before the gadget rework, it was good in Heist, but not many people saw the potential of it because, you know, maybe you'd end up missing a couple. But with gadget rework, it doesn't matter if you miss, you're still going to get guaranteed control, right? Because you're going to get it back anyways in the next 19 seconds or whatever it is. So Cole has become a great damage dealer now rather than an assassin, what he kind of used to be with Flying Hook, etc. He can kind of do it all right now. Moving into number 1, it has to be Lumi. Lumi is the best brawler in the game right now, so of course she's going to be the best damage dealer, but her damage is absolutely insane. It kind of reminds me of Charlie in her peak, the fact that you can just spam so quickly. So I'm going to guess that maybe a nerf in the future is going to nerf her unload speed because you can just recall so quickly. Another big problem is her gadget. Her gadget, too many loose supers, is absolutely insane. And then the star power slowing you on top of that, the control that she can give. She's essentially a damage dealer that's a controller as well. So a 2-in-1 with Lumi. She's easily the best brawler in the game. Now we're going to be moving on to the marksman brawlers. So typically if you're thinking of a marksman, normally it's those bounty knockout brawlers. But we're just going to take a look at the best brawlers in that category. So start off at number 5, we went with Piper. So Piper is starting to fall down the meta a little bit, mainly because there's other snipers that are a bit more versatile. You know, for example, Angelo can shoot through walls, Mandy hypercharge is just better, etc. But Piper's still a solid brawler. You can never really go wrong with her if you're just playing with randoms on ladder, on a bounty, knockout, etc. Her gadget is still really good. Her hypercharge is good, so she's still decent. Next up, number 4, went with Angelo. So Angelo is such a pesky mosquito, because he can be good in every single game mode. He's so good in heist, knockout, and bounty, and the Pierce gadget just makes Angelo so incredibly annoying. He can 4K people through walls. Yeah, definitely one of the best. Next up is the 3rd best marksman. We have Mandy. So Mandy, since the hypercharge, has made her one of the best brawlers in the game. She's easily 80 in the meta overall. Knockout and bounty, the hypercharge is just so broken. The supercharge, well, the hypercharge rate is so incredibly fast, where you can get multiple in a game, and you just can't see it coming most of the time. If your Mandy's in a bush, you know, she can literally one-shot so many brawlers in those particular game modes as well. I don't need to go on anymore. She's busted. Next up is the 2nd best marksman in the game right now. I went with a Janet. So I know technically she's not really a marksman. I think she should be more of a controller. She just has some decent range. And I guess that's probably why I ban her out in power, well, ranked a lot, because Janet's just so good into everything. But the reason why she's really good is still because of the hypercharge rate. You're able to farm that so incredibly fast and confirm kills with ease. And Janet still is really flexible. You can play her in pretty much every single map in every game mode. You can even play her as a mid in gem grab as well. She's got a really annoying gadget. There's so much to like about Janet. Now moving into the best marksman in the game right now, I think it's hands down B. So again, in knockout and bounty, I wouldn't go B, which is kind of against the marksman type, right? But everywhere else you can go a B. She's so incredibly dominant right now in the meta. Thanks to the gadget rework of Rattled Hive, you can spam it out like crazy. Thanks to the hype charge, you can deal some insane damage. She's just so good into pretty much everything, and thanks to a lot of meta brawlers being nerfed around her, like Mr. P, she's got even better. Now jumping into the final class, it's going to be artillery. So these are basically going to be your thrower type brawlers. And at number 5, I went with the twins. So Larry and Laurie have definitely fallen off a lot, like drastically. I hardly ever see them in ranked right now, but it's still like a decent, but like a balanced brawler right now. They're just okay into everything. Normally there's a better option in terms of the thrower, but you can never really go wrong with them in knockout, bounty, you know, brawl, etc. I still find they are falling off though. So next up at number 4, went with Sprout. So Sprout is only good in knockout and bounty, maybe a late pick in like hot zone for example, but Sprout is still a good brawler. I'm still waiting for them to rework the hypercharge eventually for him to be even better, but he's always going to be good against those snipers, so he has to be an option you got to max out. Number 3, I went with Barley. So Barley again is starting to drop down a lot of his throwers aren't actually that good in the meta right now, but Barley's still like a decent brawler. The biggest problem is that his hypercharge takes a while to farm up, and those tanks are going to get the better hand of him most of the time. But Barley's good in hot zone, he's good in brawl, and you know, when you've got a free throw matchup, you can always go Barley. So moving on to the 2nd best thrower in the game right now, I went with Tick. So again, I am starting to see Tick fall down the meta a lot, but you can still never go wrong with Tick and knockout and bounty as an early pick, because he can outrange pretty much every single thrower in the game. He can still defend himself okay against some assassins with his super and his gadget, and he's just annoying in those game modes in particular. Don't play him anywhere else. Now moving into the best artillery brawler in the game, and one of the best brawlers in the game, it has to be Juju. So Juju is the perfect thrower right now. It reminds me of the twins in their prime in a set. Well, actually nowhere near that level, but you get what I mean. Like a thrower that can just not be countered really by anything, because she's got a super that just counters her weaknesses. Any assassins, well, you've got her pet Gree, which can just destroy those assassins with the slow star power and everything. And then you've got the gadget that can turn you invisible, that can give you that extra shield, so you can be a mini tank. And then the range on top of that, there's just so much to like about Juju. And as a thrower, it's very dangerous to have a brawler like Juju, so I'm waiting for some nerfs because she's still an S-tier brawler ever since her release. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know whether I made any errors on these rankings. I think they're pretty accurate, mainly from ranked, etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.